Hello guys, Colin here. Phasers! What are they? How do they work? And do I need one? Well, let's take a look together and find out.
What is a phaser?
To explain what a phaser is, first we have to have an understanding of what phase is in terms of sound. And I'm going to try and resist the urge to jump into full physics lecture here and try and explain things as simply as I possibly can. If we visualise this with the most basic waveform, a sine wave, and we duplicate it exactly, then we can see that both these waves are synchronised. The peaks match up with the peaks and the valleys with the valleys. In the real world, this would be two notes that add to each other. Pretty intuitive so far. However, if we shift one of those waves by a small amount, we can see that they are no longer perfectly synchronised. This is what's referred to as out of phase. In the real world, this would result in a thinning of the sound as the two notes start to subtract from one another. The more we shift that wave, the more out of phase the sound becomes, until we get to here, when two perfect sine waves would cancel each other out. Of course, real guitar notes aren't simple sine waves. They're a complex waveform made up of many frequencies at once, meaning we rarely get total cancellation and are more likely to see certain frequencies within the whole sound undergoing phase cancellation. While there are uses for out of phase sounds in a static manner, it makes musical sense to shift that duplicated wave against the original and get a pulsing effect between the waves reinforcing each other when in phase and destroying each other when out of phase. Of course, what I've just described is the basis for many modulation effects. Flangers and choruses exploit some of this too.
So what makes a phaser a phaser?
Well, I decided to have a shot at constructing my own phaser and taking a look at the circuit diagram and components to find the answer. This IC and the surrounding components forms the all-pass filters or phase stages within the pedal. Inside this singular IC are four separate stages, as you can see from the circuit diagram. Your guitar signal is split as it enters the IC. The original goes through the pedal unaltered and the copy gets passed through the IC stages. The filters flip the phase of the copy signal. The more filters there are, the more the phase is shifted, and once out the other side, it's recombined with the original signal. Phasers can be constructed with any number of stages, usually in multiples of 2, but 4, like in this one, is a pretty common number. For each 2 stages you have, you add one more frequency notch to the phaser sound. That's a place where frequency cancellation occurs, and the more notches you have, the more frequencies are being cancelled, and the more pronounced your phaser effect will be. Another way to enhance the phaser's effect is to add a feedback loop, that is to send the out of phase signal back into the start of the all-pass filters. This makes the frequency notches more pronounced and apparent, strengthening the phaser's effect. And here we have a trim pot to dial in how much feedback to have, and a toggle switch to switch the feedback out of the loop entirely. The final part that makes a phaser is the oscillator. This shifts the out of phase signal against the original at a rate dictated by our speed knob.
When should I use a phaser?
When shouldn't you? Once you become familiar with the sound a phaser produces, you'll start to notice it in a lot of the music you're listening to. Phasers were massively popular back in the 70s for getting deep, psychedelic funk sounds, and even at more restrained settings, they're a great way of adding texture to what otherwise could have been a very plain and bland clean tone. Phasers with distortion is a very interesting topic. Like most modulation effects, phasers will sound vastly different depending on whether you have them before or after your distortion. I tend to prefer phasers before distortion. Having them after creates quite a wild sound. Although, if you do sandwich a phaser between two distortions, you can get some very interesting tones indeed. At this point, the universe won't let me go on without mentioning Van Halen. Eddie is famous for his use of the effect, and I mean, just go and listen to Ain't Talking About Love to hear the phaser in action. That song just wouldn't be the same without it. Probably an area where phasers are most useful is on lead lines and solos. Both live and in the studio, setting a phaser slow is a really great way of getting your solos to stand out against the rest of the mix. I mean, with the speed set low, the effect may not even be obviously perceivable, but because it's moving against a more static sounding background, it really makes these lines pop out against the rest of the song.
Well, do I need one?
Phasers are a wonderful effect to have to hand, and once you've got one, you'll find many uses for them. It may not be part of your main tone, but for those parts and solos where you need a bit of extra movement in the sound, or to make lines stand out without having to boost or apply more gain, they're a very useful tool to have in your collection. There's also a huge range of different phasers available, so go and try some for yourself and see what works for you. If you want to see more of these Do I Need One videos, then you can hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified of all my new content that way. Thank you also to my supporters over on Patreon who helped me put this video together. If you signed up over there, then you'll be able to see some exclusive secret stuff as well. Social media links are in the description box underneath this video, and leave me a comment, let me know what the next Do I Need One video should be on. Anyway, that's all for just now. So you guys want to keep it loud? I'll see you later. Set phasers to Milky!